Hello people, sorry I'm late with the review, but I'm going to be pretty busy in the next couple of days, so if things are a little bit later than usual, I apologize. But Chapter of One Piece came out after a bunch of waiting, and we get a really good cover page. I really liked the fact that it's referencing Luffy and Zoro, like both the fact that like Perona and Mihawk are pretty much like they've supported them. They're officially supporting the Straw Hat crew because they have the Straw Hats. Even the monkeys have the Straw Hats, but they're also eating onigiri. So the Straw Hat represents Luffy, the onigiri represents Zoro. And Oda kind of throws a curveball in this chapter, which I obviously didn't anticipate. I thought that the reason why Luffy was poisoned was because there was going to be an opportunity for a fight, and if Luffy had been at full health, like he was going to take down this person, whatever, whoever it may be, immediately, right? But it turns out that Luffy was poisoned for exposition purposes, character introduction / exposition. We get introduced to two Vinsmokes in this chapter, and I don't know how you wouldn't be able to notice this, but I mean, even the name of the chapter is pretty self-explanatory. Reiju, Yonji, so it would be, Sanji's the third son, right? San, each Ni-san, third son. You add the G at the end, you have Sanji. Yonji would be the fourth, because that's another way of saying four. I thought it was she, though. Shinji, no. Now, you could also use Yon, I believe, for four. And Rei means zero, right? Before I go any further, I just want to pay special attention to the ship, because it's in the shape of a Denden Mushi, but it also has, like, castle towers on it, which, the castle towers, they symbolize, like, their royal aspect, right? It's confirmed that they are technically royals, even though they don't rule over a land. This chapter has a bunch of implications. Holy crap. In terms of foreshadowing, foreshadowing, like hundreds and hundreds of chapters. Sanji, the whole thing with Duval, the fact that Oda was planting these little seeds along the way, it's godly master level foreshadowing. Absolutely ridiculous the way that Oda just constructed Sanji's lineage without, just leaving these little breadcrumbs so that we could follow and come to this arc to find out what it was. It's incredible. Now, Peckham's does say, and this is why I was paying attention to the ship, Peckham's does say that Jerma 66, they're infamous, they're famous for having technological advancements, right? Who do we know in the One Piece world that is related to technological advancements? Vegapunk, right? I'm pretty sure that Vegapunk is going to come into the picture in some manner. Maybe not directly, but yeah, just maybe like a reference or a mention of him is definitely going to be in this arc. Another thing is, if you notice, Reiju's shoes are special. Like, the thing that this chapter does is that it doesn't make it quite clear. Do the Vinsmokes have devil fruit abilities, or what they're doing a complete result of the technology that they've been able to apply? And so, because you don't know, like maybe Reiju has like these weird ass antibodies that she got injected with, or she's been able to absorb. I don't know, just something that's not devil fruit related, but something that's makes them really cool. Like Sanji. Sanji doesn't have a devil fruit ability. He can burst into flames. He can skywalk. He can do all these things that are really cool, that are abnormal, but they're not devil fruit related. So from that standpoint, I think it would make more sense for the Vinsmokes to be more technologically oriented versus having devil fruit abilities, because that's why they're valuable for Big Mom. And as a Yonko, I feel like if Big Mom wanted devil fruits, like she could have access to them without that big of a deal. But technology, it's like that's the way of the future, especially in the One Piece world. That's where you want to invest in. Now, going back to the ship, and in terms of like why I think it looks the way, if that's a hint to something, right? The fact that it looks like a Denden Mushi, could it be possible that the Vinsmokes, right, are the people responsible for maybe not completely creating Denden Mushi or manufacturing them, but mass producing them, marketing them, making money off of them, maybe upgrading them or tweaking them, because we know, and selling them to the rest of the world, and that's why they're, that's part of why they're infamous, and they're also, pretty influential in the One Piece world. Because I do remember that there are these special type of Denden Mushi that the government use to intercept signals, right? In fact, in one of the previous chapters before we left Zou, Frankie mentioned how he was going to make some Denden Mushi so that, the crew could communicate, but that's Frankie. Like, that's something that he would know because, he has a lot of, he's a constructor. He knows how to build things. He's like technologically advanced cyborg, all that stuff. He's followed Vegapunk's, footprints, all that stuff. I just think the Vinsmokes have something to do with Vegapunk and the Denden Mushi. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Point blank. Another thing that I want to mention is that the Vinsmokes appear to be color-coded in regards to their ability. So Yonji is green and Reiju is pink. I don't know what color would correspond to Sanji necessarily, but remember, we're still missing 2 older brothers, each knee. So the first one and the second one, the 2 older brothers of Sanji, right? So I know there's a theory. I think Roger had the theory that Killer may be a Vinsmoke. And I don't know if that's true or not necessarily, but I think it would be kind of crazy, because now that Kid is fucked up and we don't know where Killer is, we haven't seen Killer. I think it's kind of a weird coincidence that Killer, we've seen him wearing blue a lot. And I think the first one is going to be red. I don't know why. It's like first red, then, I don't know, another color, blue, and then Sanji, I don't know what color Sanji is. Let me know. Another thing, and I thought this was kind of like an interesting family trait, is that knowing Sanji and looking at the way that Yonji behaved when he saw Nami, and the way that Reiju behaved, when she kissed Luffy to suck up the poison, it was a very sort of seductive type of kiss. And I don't want to say that they're pervs necessarily, but there's a lustful aspect to the Vinsmokes that each of the children have as of right now, and I kind of like that. I mean, I thought it was super funny when Yonji's eyes popped out, and then by the end, he got his hands on a Nami wanted poster. I can totally see Yonji and Sanji fighting over Nami. That's gonna happen. It's a must. Another thing is that Brook, we find out what Brook knew, because remember in Zoe, he's like, Vinsmoke, that name sounds familiar. And so he just knew that they were basically, he doesn't blame them for, them killing his crew. He's just like, yeah, these people, they're just, they ruled the North Blue with an iron fist. And that's the thing though, Reiju seems pretty nice. So, then again, if Sanji left and he was very young, that means that Yonji must have been even younger. So maybe he doesn't remember things properly. I don't know. But maybe Reiju actually agreed with the reason why Sanji left, but she had to stay behind. I don't know. That's way too much mystery, still covering the Vinsmokes. And it's interesting. Another thing is that Reiju says, we don't have a land, we don't necessarily have a kingdom, but we can still go to Reverie. Which means, it absolutely means that one of the people that we saw in that chapter when we saw Vivi, those different shots of the royalty going to, just getting prepared to go to the Reverie, one of them has to be like a Vinsmoke leader or something. Because they don't have time to, I don't think they would have time to be at Big Mom's tea party and also at the Reverie. So there has to be a Vinsmoke representative there. So we may get an update about what's going on at the Reverie while we're at Whole Cake Island. That would make perfect sense to me. Finally, we have this fishman, and he's like, Jinbei, what are your orders? That fishman, I'm pretty sure his name is Aladdin, and the only reason I remember him is because I fucked up. I made fun of this guy because I thought he was going to be super irrelevant. Here's the thing, all right? This character was introduced not even in Fishman Island. He was introduced in a Fishman Island flashback, and he had an Oda box that said Aladdin. I'm like, who the fuck, why would we care about this, random person, Aladdin, this fishman? And now it turns out he's taking orders from Jinbei. Jinbei, he's there. I'm pretty sure Watatsumi's gonna show up. Jinbei has a poneglyph. Oh man, the setup in this chapter, the character introduction and the exposition was great. It was great because it was fun and it was smart. And it was smart because Oda is just such a master at foreshadowing. He brought back Aladdin, right? Duval, the whole, something that I thought it was a gag when I first saw that arc, or that little, that little portion of that story. It was like, I thought this was just for laughs. It now makes sense. They were going to search for Duval. That's why Duval was so pissed that he was being confused with Sanji. Oh man, just great stuff. And I'm actually kind of glad that Luffy's not poisoned, because now he can go and enjoy the island and have fun and do stuff. Now we still don't know what position Sanji's dad has. He obviously has a lot of influence, but we don't know how high up the ladder he is if he had enough power to change the bounty poster to only alive. Just quality storytelling, as always, as to be expected. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did, I appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel for more One Piece reviews. Comment down below with your thoughts. Thank you guys.